Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that life isn't high school and if it was she would be the loser now? My daughter is 20 for Kelly and my younger daughter is 23 Sarah. They both had very different high school experiences. Kelly was very social and in different sports. Sarah was very academic and had a small group of friends. Kelly got a sports scholarship for college but soon dropped out of college after she failed multiple classes. She basically partied and did her sport and nothing else. Sarah went on to finish her degree and is doing well in life. Kelly has a jealousy issue, and I have talked with her before about it. She is never happy when Sarah has an accomplishment. Today Sarah told us that she is going on a cruise for her vacation this year. Kelly always wanted to go on a cruise and couldn't afford it with her waiter job. In the car she blew up saying that Sarah was a loser in high school, so it isn't fair that she has all this now. She went on for a bit when I had enough. I told her that life isn't like high school and it if was she was the loser now. This started an agreement and she called me a cow. Am I the a-hole forcing my husband to choose between divorce and being a house husband while I work full-time to support the family? Long story short, my husband 37 male used to work to support the family while I 36 female stayed home taking care of our 2-year-old daughter. Last month, he lost his job and told me he felt exhausted and wasn't eager to do anything. I said okay, and offered to work so he could look after our daughter at home and get some rest until he feels better. By the way, our daughter goes to daycare, so it's mainly some housework and picking her up. But he said no, he needs his time to be completely free. I got furious because this means either I work, while also taking care of our daughter, or our family will face significant financial pressure. But I stepped back anyway and had a hell of a month doing everything while he hung out with his friends and played PS5. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and told him he had to choose between being a house husband or divorce. He chose the first, but it felt forced. I keep questioning myself, was I too harsh? Any good advice would be appreciated. Update. I never thought this would draw so much attention. I'm trying to read as many comments as I can and I really appreciate your opinions, especially those pointing out things I should have told him and I didn't. I've decided to show him the post after work and see if we can have a real talk based on that. Again, thank you all. Am I the a-hole for insisting we change our son's name? My wife 20 for female and I 28 male had our first baby 5 months ago. We've been together for 6 years, married for 5. He's a beautiful little boy and we gave him the same first name as my wife's father, Keith. My wife grew up hating her father for cheating on her mother and abandoning the family. In the past decade, he worked tirelessly to improve their relationship. In her family, it's typically tradition for the first grandson and granddaughter to be named after their grandparents, and my wife was proud to name our son after her father. However, a few weeks ago, my wife and her father had a massive argument. Turns out, he's convinced that for some reason, I am going to cheat on my wife. He thinks we got married too young, and I'll get bored of her now that she's devoting all her time to our son. He told my wife this after she opened up to him about how worried she was about being pregnant so soon after giving birth. We didn't plan the second pregnancy, and a few days after the argument my wife miscarried, and it was a painful moment for the both of us. Essentially, he kicked her while she was already down for no reason. I had a friendly relationship with him, but I know he wanted my wife to marry someone from her own background. Since the argument, my wife has not been calling our son by his name. She's using nicknames, calling him the baby, etc. She said that she needs time to get over the argument with her dad, but she also blames him for the miscarriage, which is something I don't think she get over. Father-in-law has made no attempts to apologize or reconcile. A month into my wife refusing to use our baby's name, I said that we needed to change it because it'll be better for my wife's mental health and our son's development. If this argument continues or is ever brought up again, she can't be too upset to use his name when he's old enough to actually know it. We started the process now to change the name, and somehow it got back to father-in-law and he knows that I suggested it. He is infuriated. He said that I was supposed to be the level-headed one since my wife is postpartum and recovering from a miscarriage, and that I've just made their rift a million times, or since I denied him the family tradition. My in-laws think I'm an asshole for insisting on the name change since now it'll be even harder for them to reconcile. I don't think I'm in a hole, but my brother said it would be a good idea to get an unbiased opinion. Am I the a-hole for not being grateful for my birthday surprise? I have been crying for hours yesterday and today, receiving texts on how I am ungrateful. This shit just doesn't make sense to me. I am trying to see the good intentions, but call me blind because I don't see any. I have never had a birthday party or dinner, and it is something that I have always wanted. I don't know why I always thought it was unattainable in my adult life. I was talking to my friend and telling her how my family never celebrates birthdays because my dad is really religious and how I always feel lonely on my birthday. She asked me why I didn't celebrate my birthday now that I was an adult, and I thought, yeah, why don't I celebrate myself now that I am grown? I planned myself a birthday dinner at a fancy restaurant and told everyone that as long as they kept their order under $35, I would pay for it. So I made sure to work overtime for 3 months in advance because I heard there is always a fight about the bill, so I didn't want that to be a reason for conflict on my birthday. I invited 12 people that said they would come, family and friends, which include my mom now that my dad is dead. She is no longer super religious for some reason. Yesterday I had my nails, makeup, and hair done professionally. I just wanted to look really nice, and I have actually only been to formal events like 3 times in my life, so I was happy to be able to dress up nicely for once. I got to my dinner, sat at my table, and waited 2 hours, and I kept getting calls from people telling me they were running late to not being able to come anymore. And after 2 hours, everyone finally told me they were not coming. They didn't tell me before the dinner. They were all telling me at the time of reservation or later. The waiter felt so bad because I was crying while I was on the phone with someone I considered to be my friend, telling me she wasn't coming for me and that even though I didn't order a meal, he gave me a free birthday slice. I didn't even get any pictures in my outfit because I thought someone would help take them for me at the restaurant. And by the time I left the restaurant, my makeup was ruined. My mom called me on my way home and asked me to stop at her house because she had a present for me. She says she is sorry she didn't come, but she was feeling extremely unwell, and she wanted to have a present at least. I go to her house, and I open the door to a surprise, and people see that my face was messed up because I had been crying, so someone says, she thought we forgot her. And I look at the 12 people that were invited to my dinner and am just disappointed that they traded what I wanted for my birthday for this. They left me stranded and humiliated at a restaurant for hours. I left the surprise party after 5 minutes and just told my mom to keep her present to herself. Am I the a-hole for not defending my wife and telling her she needed to apologize to my cousin after my cousin went off on her? I am 27 male married to 26 female. We will call my wife Bailey. I also have a sister, we will call Emma 29, and a cousin we will call Nicole 32. My wife and my sister dislike my cousin. They are always making snide remarks and are being rude, especially since my son and my niece were born about a week apart. They are now 2 years old. So here's the backstory. My cousin Nicole did not have the easiest life. Her parents are genuinely terrible. She raised all 3 of her siblings by herself for the most part. When Nicole was 18, she was in an abusive relationship and got pregnant. The guy tried to kill her. It was bad. The pregnancy was awful for her. She found out she had something wrong with her uterus then. She found out there was something wrong with the baby. He has some sort of cyst and half of his brain didn't develop. She was told he'd never walk or talk or had any sort of life. She ended up going into labor early and nearly bled to death and had to deal with having a preemie with a disability. She worked 2 jobs and was a single mom. She fought for that baby and now you wouldn't know anything was wrong with him. She had him in every therapy she could get him in and still does. As far as I know, my cousin has never done a single drug. She doesn't drink. She doesn't party. She is remarried to a guy that seems great and owns a small farm. She homeschools her son due to all of his issues. She does a lot of community work. Honestly, the woman may as well be superhuman in my eyes. Most other people would have buckled under the pressure and she's taking it in stride. Last year she had a miscarriage and had to have several surgeries and she's currently pregnant again. Hopefully this one works out for her. Anyway, my sister swears she saw my cousin smoke a cigarette during her first pregnancy and believes that is the reason the child turned out the way he is, which is absolute bullshit. Even if she did, it would not have caused all of those issues and my cousin was going through absolute hell during that pregnancy. I'm honestly surprised she was still standing. A cigarette was the least of her worries. My cousin told everyone she is pregnant again recently and my sister and my wife made a snide remark about not fucking this one up and my cousin let them have it. She basically told them that they wouldn't survive if they were in her shoes and they weren't better than her and when they have to deal with a disabled child. single parenthood, to jobs, and pumping every 2 hours. Then they can speak to her about it. They also made snide remarks about breastfeeding, and I know for a fact my cousin pumped because I accidentally walked in on her once, so I'd why they think she didn't, and that makes them better. They've never had to deal with a single thing she's dealt with in their perfect lives. Which is absolutely true. Both my sister and my wife have been absolutely spoiled their entire lives and have never had to deal with anything hard at all. Pregnancies haven't had a single hitch. Neither of them ever were single parent, nor have they had to deal with the babies by themselves at all. Anyway, my cousin was pissed, and by the time she walked away, my wife was crying and my sister was just angry she was called out publicly. My wife asked me. I didn't defend her, and I told her my cousin was absolutely right. The only thing they had on her was a single cigarette years ago. That's insane to think they are somehow better than her, and what they said to her was absolutely appalling. She needed to really think about what all my cousin has been through and then apologize. Maybe she could learn something. Anyway, now my wife and my sister are both mad at me, and my wife hasn't spoken to me since Saturday when this all happened. I'm wondering if I wasn't off or how I spoke to my wife. I feel like what I said was true, but maybe I should have said it nicer or something. I don't know.